Section 11.3 is factoring our general trinomials, that is, those of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. This is our sort of gold standard of factoring methods because it works on all of these general trinomials. All trinomials that we think of can be written of the form as trinomials of the form ax squared plus bx plus c. So let's look at an example. Say I have 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. I can use the trial and error method, which is I just think maybe I have 2x plus something, and then x plus something else, and then I can think of all of the numbers that I could put here and here, and I can multiply all of those out and see what works. As you can imagine, takes forever, super boring. As the numbers get big, it just gets worse, right? Because this is a 2, but if it was a 40, I would really not want to be using the trial and error method. I already don't want to be using the trial and error method. So we're going to learn an actual method. Your textbook talks to you a lot about techniques of the trial and error method. I think it's silly because nobody wants to use it. We have a method your textbook calls the AC method. We're going to think of our polynomial being ax squared plus bx plus c. So if we look back here, that means a is 2, b is 7, c is 6. Right? Because a is the coefficient of the x squared term, b is the coefficient of the x term, and c is the constant term. My first step is I'm going to compute a times c. So I said a is 2, c is 6, ac is 2 times 6, that's 12. Now I need to find two numbers, I'm calling them triangle and square, you can call them whatever you want to, that multiply to ac and add to b. So triangle times square is 12. Triangle plus square is 7. I can think of all of the things that I can multiply and get 12. 12 and 1, 3 and 4. As soon as I say 3 and 4, I'm going to stop looking for other ones, since I know that 3 plus 4 is 7. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 plus 4 is 7. So my triangle and square are 3 and 4. Then I'll write my polynomial as ax squared plus triangle x plus square x plus c. So I have 2x squared plus 3x plus 4x plus 6. Doesn't matter what order I put them in. If I had put 2x squared plus 4x plus 3x plus 6, I would end up in the same place in the end. You can check that. So I just put those in whatever order. What's my next step? Factor by grouping. First, it's worth saying that the reason I know I was allowed to do this is I defined this triangle and square as things that add up to 7. So if you combine those terms, you would definitely get back the 7x. That's a good check to make sure that your triangle and square are accurate. Now I'll just factor by groupings. I'll add in some parentheses. As always in factoring by groupings, you would have to be careful if this was not a plus, but it is a plus, so we don't need to worry. 2x squared plus 3x. The greatest common factor is just x. I'll pull out an x. I have x times 2x plus 3. 4x and 6, their greatest common factor is 2. So I have plus 2 times 2x plus 3. Great. These have a greatest common factor, 2x plus 3. So I have x plus 2 times 2x plus 3. As soon as I get that answer, I multiply that out to make sure I get back 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. My first term is 2x squared. Sorry, the product of my first terms. Then my outside terms, I have plus 3x. My inside terms, plus 4x, my last terms, plus 6. In fact, that's 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. Always check. So I implemented this system. Worked great. Let's do one more example just to make sure. Remember that this was the easiest type of example because it has 2 pluses in it, so we don't have to worry about sign errors. So let's do one that has a minus in it. Notice that this has bigger numbers, so if I was trying to do a guess and check method, I would have a really rough time on a problem like this. Instead, I'll immediately identify A, B, and C. A is 6, B is 14, C is negative 12. Therefore, AC, negative 72. That means that triangle and square have different signs. One is positive and one is negative. I know triangle times square is negative 72. Triangle plus square is 14. So I can think of all of the factors of 72. Let's list them. 36 and 2. No matter which of those I make negative, that's not going to add up to 14. 18 and 4. As soon as I see that, I'm going to stop. Because if I have positive 18 and negative 4, positive 18 plus negative 4 is 14. So triangle is that 18 square. Oops, that was a bad square. Square is negative 4. So I'll split up my middle term. 6x squared plus 18x minus 4x minus 12. I now have to be careful with my factoring by grouping. I'm just going to add a plus there to make my factoring by grouping go smoothly. We talked in one of the sections, in the section that was about factoring by grouping, about why I did that, to make sure that I keep the negatives in the right places. Now I look at 6x squared and 18x. Their greatest common factor is 6x, so I'll pull one of those out. 6x times x plus 3 minus 4x and minus 12. Their greatest common factor is minus 4. So I'll subtract 4 times x plus 3. So I have 6x minus 4 times x plus 3. As before, FOIL those. Make sure you get back your 6x squared plus 14x minus 12. In fact, you do, so we know we're in good shape. This is a really solid method that works on essentially every trinomial. Very good thing to have in your repertoire. It is sort of our terminal technique.